All right, we're going.
Yay.
Okay, so thanks so much for jumping on this phone call with me today. I wanted to get you on here because you've been kicking ass. Like, we've worked together for a long time. You don't have the goal of getting on stage necessarily, and a lot of people that I work with do. So I wanted to kind of talk about your experience with not getting on stage, kind of show you love because you've made a killer transformation, even though, like, after going over the numbers. So your weight's down a little bit, but it's your measurements, it's your body conformation. Like, you've gained muscle, you've burned body fat, you've brought your waistline down. You've kind of been through it all. You've been through surgeries, vacations, you have kids, you're a hairstylist. So following a set menu can be a little bit more challenging because you're literally working with your hands all day. And so you've just done absolutely amazing with it.
Thanks. I love it. Honestly, like I think from day one I've always just said like my goal is just to be like a fit, healthy mom. Like I want to be able to lift some heavy weights, but I also want to be able to pick up my kids, and chase them in the backyard and stuff like that. So the challenges with, vacations and stuff like that, but you've still always given me like the right guidance, for like, go enjoy yourself, but just be aware of what you're eating and aware of what you're drinking and stuff like that. And it's been great. It's been so awesome. I'll tell you the best thing is having options. I think that people, when they look at like a coach, they're like, oh, I only have to eat, these three things. And it's like, I have so many options of the foods that I can eat. And that is the best part about being like a lifestyle client is like, I don't have to eat this like said box of foods every single day, but it's been great. And being post baby number two, post C-section number two, like, it's taken me a little while with, coming back from, a couple surgeries and stuff like that, but it's been awesome.
Yeah, and it's like, even so you kept working through the surgery. So when you were coming back from that and when you were on like LLD, like light limited duty, right? And your cardio was limited, did you feel like having the menu really like helped you that way? Or did you find it as like, because some people look at that and they'll be like, oh man, I just know I'm not gonna be able to do it. And they'll almost be so intimidated by it that they don't give it like the attempt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm definitely one of those people where it's like I'd rather work out than you know, eat properly, so but that's where like the balance comes in, of like not being able to, lift super heavy and not being able to do cardio, due to whatever surgery I had at that point. Eating differently, to help my body recover. Like I honestly can say my body recovered faster with following the meal plan than, just kind of like laying around and just eating whatever I wanted for sure.
Right. And that's the thing too, is like from a dietetics perspective, it's like when people get sick and they go to the hospital or they go through surgery, like a lot of them don't get to see a dietitian, but that's a huge part of it is like dietitians or nutrition professionals were to help people recover from surgeries, illnesses, whatever they're going through, and make sure their body has the tools that it needs to like enhance that recovery. And I think that's where a lot of people maybe miss the mark when they're going through stuff like that. It's because protein, even though we are like, trying to improve our shape and our physique, like protein does a lot more than just build muscle in your body. So it's
Totally.
like super important to have that to recover from those things.
And it's been really nice to like, you've kind of reiterated that to me multiple times. I mean, obviously with like little kids, like stomach bug and flu and like all that comes like running through our house, on a not a regular basis, but more than I'd like it to. And even when I don't feel good for the most part, like you've always told me, like, you just try to focus on your protein. And I will say, like, I feel like something that would have taken me, 7 to 10 days to recover from probably took me closer to 5, because everybody gets sick. That's a part of life, but it has made a huge difference in recovering from surgeries, illnesses, all of that for sure.
Right. And so then when it comes to being a hairstylist, so I have a ton of friends who are hairstylists or people who are like hairstylist nurses, and you're working with your hands all day. So how do you manage your menu around that?
So honestly, you've helped me so much to be able to like, throw something in there, in between throughout the day. Because sometimes if you're with a blonde client and it takes you an hour and a half to foil, literally. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go wash these bowls really quick and I'm gonna have like a protein wrap really quick, instead of like warming up a meal, it takes time to warm up and then it takes time to cool off and sit down and eat. That's like 10 to 12 minutes versus having a wrap when I'm pressed for time, or having a
Mm.
bar, or a shake and like a banana when I'm pressed for time versus, just eating, pretzels and, chips and stuff like that. Like it really has made a difference, when you've got 2 to 3 minutes to eat versus, you know, 12 to 15 minutes to eat. So trying to make sure that I still, even between clients and even while they're processing, like just kind of eat something, has made a huge difference too, for sure.
Right. So before you'd say like you would either eat nothing or you would just grab easy handfuls of like snacks, pretzels, whatever.
Yes, I would like peanut butter pretzels were my jam. And throughout the day, I'd probably eat 3 servings of those, not realizing just how bad they really were for me. And they weren't filling me up, obviously, because I was constantly going back and constantly going back, which then that resorted into me being a huge snacker. Versus now it's like, okay, I've got a protein wrap and I've got like a banana, or I've got some blueberries and some strawberries and a protein bar, has really stopped me from going back to dipping my hand in the jar over and over and over again. And then I also removed them from the shop too. So
Right. Creating an environment that helps.
yeah.
Absolutely. And so in addition to being the hairstylist and all that, so you're a mom
Yes.
and a wife and all these things. So how do you manage your schedule around your hair appointments, and then your kids? And then do you cook food for your husband as well? Or does he kind of do his own thing? How does that work?
So we normally always food prep on Sundays, and we'll pretty much do everything in bulk. And then we'll recook some meat and stuff like that on Wednesdays as well. So we kind of eat the same thing together each week. We try to tweak things so we're eating different things. But workout wise, he normally will go in the morning. And if he doesn't go in the morning, I'll go in the morning, so we kind of tag in and out of like, who's going to go at this time and who's going to go at that time. So it's honestly, it's just a partnership,
Mm.
of like, hey, if I go in the morning, you can go at night, whatever. And we just kind of like make it work, because not only for our physical health, but our mental health. Like we both need the gym. And then the kids, the kids, we just kind of make them a part of it if we have to work out from home or something like that. I'll put Lucas in the stroller and we'll go for a run, and Sophia will do like a little workout in the garage with me, if we can't make it to the gym. So I really try not to stress too much now about making sure I make it to the gym versus just making sure that I get my movement in. If I can't go, I don't get as like anxious as I used to, as long as I'm doing something.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense. So it's like not letting perfect be the enemy of good enough. Because I think a lot of people will kind of take the mindset of like, if I don't go to the gym today, or if I don't do it perfectly, then it's just pointless and I'm not going to see any improvement. But I think that speaks a lot, because it's if you keep showing up and putting your best foot forward, the results follow. Like even if they're maybe slower than some people want, or you have an off day, just not letting that turn into an off week, or like I said, not, just because you're not going to the gym doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you do what you can with what you got, and you just kind of keep pressing forward. So
Totally.
I love that. And I think that's super valuable. So as far as like your coaching experience with me, we touched on it a little bit with like having the options, but like, how has your experience been like with our weekly check-ins? We've trained together in person, the one time, right? Or maybe a couple times.
I think it was like 2 or 3 times. I think you were down visiting for like a week. So we kind of got it in a handful of times. And that was awesome. I really liked your post the other day about like, randomly hiring a coach, just to have somebody there, with you being away, you're not there to physically watch me and like tweak me every single day. So I've thought about doing that. It's just time, trying to find time in between all the moving parts. But all in all, it's been great. I love it because people are like, you have an online coach, but you're not like competing. And I'm like, yeah, no, like she helps me just stay on track. Like she helps me shoot for my goals, but not doesn't force me to, to do it, like you still give me the tools that I need and I still have to make the decision on my own, which I think is great. Versus I understand like when you're going to be like get on stage, like that's when you have to like really get like hardcore with stuff. Versus me again, I just want to be able to be a mom and a wife and a hairdresser and just be fit for life.
Right, and that's amazing, and I know you mentioned before too, when we were kinda going through the transition, you said that you really like the structure that it provides you and, like, having tools and just having something to follow every day, and that benefits you in your life and kind of helps keep you on track. Uh
100%. Because there are
mhm.
days where like literally like today, I was like, okay, what day is it? I walk into the gym and I'm like, okay, it's Wednesday, and I'll click on my app, and I'm like, all right, Wednesday's lower body. What are we doing today? Versus me having to like think about it, and just like make shit up and create shit, like I'm like, this is what you do, this is what I pay you for. So, you've got it down. And honestly, my results, in my mom's skin have really shown that for sure.
Yeah, and so one other thing I wanna touch on that I think will help a lot of people is you don't have that goal of being on stage, and I think a lot of people without a very specific time-bound goal, like getting in a bikini in front of a bunch of people, they struggle to stick to something because they lack that. So you kind of set mini goals with, like, your vacations or with this or with that. So how do you stay motivated and stay on track when you know what I mean? You're kinda setting mini goals, but is there anything else that keeps you going week after week, day after day, chasing your goals?
Um, honestly, I want to feel good in my skin. I think women in general struggle with they want to look a certain way, but they don't know how, or they they want to do all these things, but again, they don't have the right direction for it. And for me, I think it's just, I want to feel good in my skin. I want to feel good, on a date night with my husband. It's not about what other people think when they look at me or anything like that. It's about like when I look in the mirror, what I see, am I happy with it? And there have been times, like when I broke my foot, like I was like, what's happening? I couldn't barely work out. It was really hard for me. And I didn't like the direction of where my body was going. And then I realized I've got to stay on track with my eating since I can't train. So at the end of the day, my goal has always just been to feel good in my skin and feel confident in my mom's skin for sure.
I love that. And so now going forward, so we talked a little bit like over the last couple weeks about your goals are for the summer, what's next. We've talked about growing your legs, growing your glutes more, kind of focusing on continuing to build out your shape, maybe bring it in a little bit tighter for the summer. And so I think, I mean, obviously we did your check-in this morning, but I think the
Yeah,
best way to do that is going to be, kind of like obviously bringing your calories down a little bit, but enough to make sure that we're still fueling you to grow and build and really putting 100% of our energy in what we want to grow and in maybe doing less upper body, maybe doing more of like a wellness split to really focus. Because if we're going to bring in your waistline, bring in your conditioning a little bit, training 3 or 4 days a week, which will give you more time with your kids and family, but that's also going to benefit you from a recovery standpoint. Like for me, even as a professional wellness athlete, I'm only training 3 or 4 days a week, 100% lower body focus, because I'm essentially doing the same thing. I'm building that shape, and you need the recovery to actually put on that tissue.
totally.
We keep you tight by using maybe the days that you're not training as much to do cardio, pump blood to those muscles to help them recover. Be real specific with your training program and really hone those things that we want to fix, but then make sure we're giving your body the recovery in between. So I'm really excited to go through that phase with you because it's cool when fitness and when your training program, like I said, we've had you to the point where you were training 6 days per week
Yeah.
and 5 and 6 days, and you were totally open, willing to do it. We've had you do more cardio some weeks, but now this next phase is going to look totally different because it's
Yeah.
allowing you more days at home, which is actually going to benefit you for your fitness goals right now and give you more time with your family over the summer. But then those days we're not training, keep your cardio, we'll change it as we need and depending on how tight you want to get. But it's cool when it works like that.
Yeah, yeah. Having the extra time at home is really means a lot, honestly, from like my standpoint because I mean, even last night, I didn't get to work out yesterday morning. Lucas was sick and we were up all night with him. So Kenny went to the gym in the morning. I got home from work. I did, bath bottle bed, all that, and then homework with Sophia. And then I went and did shoulders in the garage. It was 7 o'clock last night, but it was like I was motivated to still do it and to be able to still do all the things as a mom and a wife and then still get my time in for me is super beneficial for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then it's cool too, like you said, when it's what's gonna benefit you from a physique standpoint. Like, I'm super excited for this next phase because of that. Because I think too, just genetically, like your lower body wants to grow. It wants to do it. I can tell. And
Yeah.
you keep bringing, we've already brought your waistline down over the time we've worked together, which is like the perfect definition of a recomp because your weight's changed a little bit. It's still down, but that's the biggest changes with your shape. And I think that really focusing on this area, so vacuums, waistline down, calories kind of go up and down with the summer with what you need. You know what I mean? Sometimes we feed you more, sometimes we feed you less, depending on like their body kind of demands something different of you every week. Same thing with life, but feeding you as much as we can while still bringing that down and fueling you enough to build that with the recovery in between. Like this summer is going to be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited. I've always kind of I think you've noticed like my upper body's always been pretty big for how of a small human I am. I'm super short. So my upper body's always just been really big and broad, and I could never really get my lower body to grow. And then when I started working with you, I started just seeing all these like crazy different like lines and stuff like that that I've just never had before. And I was like, this is really cool. This is exciting. So now to just like strictly basically focus just on lower body, I'm excited for, and obviously my husband is too.
Yeah, I love that so much. Well, shoot, I mean, I think that pretty much covers everything that I had. So we've got what's next. We've got kind of what your experience was like. Is there any other like closing remarks or questions or anything that you want to have or ask on here while we're on it?
No, I think I'm good. I mean, I think we've been together so long. I feel like we just kind of we're just a part of each other's lives now.
Oh, I think so too. I'm excited to come back. I don't know when I'm gonna come back and visit, but I do. I always come back to Florida like at least once or twice a year. So
Okay.
I'll definitely
Okay.
say what's up when I head back that way.
For sure. For sure.
But otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday and thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah, girl. Yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.